Hello, witches. This is me, Anarchy, here to tell you about this week's episode of Maidens and Magick. Uh, I'm doing the craft, much to the delight of many people. I'm sure I am going to do the craft, or I have already done it. Now I'm kind of just presenting it to you. Before that happens, I would like to have a serious conversation. You may notice today is Thursday, and it's by my time after 4 on Thursday. I did not drop the episode yesterday. I just want to say I'm okay myself, but it's very hard for me to watch people I love dearly go through shit. So without any follow-up questions or I'm not going to comment on anything. Please do me a favor. All of my witches with breast diseases, please check them regularly. Early detection is everything. This is crucial. I mean, if you don't like doing it yourself, have a friend do it. I'll volunteer. You can always have me over. I'm there for you. I'm here for it. For real. Have a titty checking party. Add some, that's cock chugging. No, that's add some booze or like fucking smoke to the equation. Make it a fun time, but honestly, make it happen for me. Okay. With that serious PSA delivered, I will go ahead and I'm a little out of sorts, but I wouldn't have been able to do this week at all, to be honest, except I really already had most of this done before my world was hijacked by all of this. Unfortunate news that I've been dealing with this week. Yes, the fucking craft, 1996. Is it 96? I've got it right here. Let's check and see. Was 96. I remember seeing this. Yes, I don't know if I saw it in the theater. I honestly can't remember the first time I saw it, but this was a big movie. This is for the 90s. It was one of the first movies about, and it's so funny now, the theme of witchcraft, all the tropes, all of the world of fantasy and vampires and werewolves, it's been done to death. But in 96, this was still kind of a novel idea, I guess, or I don't know. You didn't see a whole lot of films about 4 teenage girls in Catholic schoolgirl uniforms playing with magic. So I was a little bit worried about this because we have 4 maidens in this one. We have Fairuza Balk, Robin Tunney, Neve Campbell, and Rachel True. And I thought, oh crap, how am I going to get through 4 people? As it turned out, Neve Campbell is the only one with any substantial information, at least on her Wikipedia page. And I'm just going to kind of leave it brief for all of them because while I like all of them just fine, none of them are maidens that I've like followed everything, watched all of their movies, know anything more than really this movie. I don't, Fairuza Balk, like American History X, she was in for a hot minute. I looked at her IMDb because I was like, if she's done anything else, I have no idea. Neve Campbell, I'm with you, Trixie Mattel girl. I think this woman deserved an Oscar for Scream for sure. Rachel True was also in Half Baked, but not in a lot else. Let's just do, let's start with Robin Tunney. But anyway, before I do that even, I wanted to let you know that I did it a little bit different this time, since this one technically fits into the category of, so what kind of magic is this anyway? I went ahead and I did, instead of doing the film and the magic separately, I did it together, kind of scene by scene, pointing out some of the imagery, symbolism and so forth, and different parts of the magic. I kind of I dissect it in line with the movie. So it's just one big piece. So what you're seeing next is just 1 hour long of like, here's the movie, here's the magic, like that. And I'm not feeling my most articulate, so I'm going to go ahead right now and tell you, I wasn't going to start with Fairuza Balk, though. I'm going to start with Robin Tunney because she was in a couple things, like, what was that other movie that she was in where she was bald? Let's just click on her page and see. Empire Records. That's probably the only other one that you might know her from. At least, I don't know. She's this chick in the background. Looks really interesting with the bald head. I don't remember this movie very well. I know that I saw it, but yeah, maybe I'll rewatch it at some point. I don't know if it's worth it. If you got thoughts about that, you can tell me. Other than that, there's just not a lot about her to report, except here's an interesting thing. Oh, let's do the thing. Where was she born? Da 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 da. I don't really know. Chicago. What? Chicago. All right. That's nice. She was born in Chicago. She was raised Catholic. So maybe she was ripe for some of this parochial. No, not going to try to say that. She was ready to do, she had been doing the Catholic schoolgirl. Oh, did she go to Catholic school though? I don't, I just assume that if you're Catholic, St. Ignatius College Prep. So this was not her first time donning the very sexy outfit. She did a few films. I don't really know about any of them. She doesn't really compel me that much as an actress in general, but she's great in this film. She actually is. I didn't remember her very well, but rewatching it, I was like, okay, props. Most interesting thing about her, I thought, was that she is a professional poker player. Chicks who can play poker, I don't know, it's kind of sexy. Why not? She finished second to Jason Alexander, earning $200,000 for her charity of choice, the Children's Health Fund. This is Celebrity Poker Showdown which I've never seen. I'm not really into watching poker. I don't know if I can even play poker. Still kind of gave her baller props for that. The next person that we'll talk about is Rachel True. Sorry, losing it over here. She is Ashkenazi and African American, which I think she's stunning. I think she's absolutely stunning, and I think she's still absolutely stunning. She was 30 years old at the time that the craft was filmed. So yes, she's fantastic. She's a New Yorker. Again, her IMDb, look at these wiki pages are just not very robust. She did some stuff. I've only ever seen her in this or Half Baked. Anything else, I'm not sure. I would watch her in anything just because I think she's so stunning. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Born in New York. Her younger sister's also an actress, and ain't really got a lot to say about her. She's 54. Damn, she looks really good for 54. You go, girl. I mean, they say black don't crack, but and I don't know, my black coworker says that all the time anyway. But she look all right. Nextly, I'll just do Neve Campbell, who I guess everybody probably knows. Here's what I'm going to say about Neve Campbell. Actually, of the four, she's kind of my favorite. Fairuza Balk, yes, hottie bo body in the craft, but the PTSD her character gives me, because like I say in the next segment, I dated this woman so many times in the 90s. Girl, over it. Here is the one that I really you could tell that I'm not totally on my game. I didn't have any of this pulled up, but here's the one that I like Neve Campbell in. If you have not seen Drowning Mona with Danny DeVito, Bette Midler, Jamie Lee Curtis, all of these people, Casey Affleck, it's Casey Affleck, that's an Affleck. That's a great malapropism. It is hysterical. She is fantastic in it. Highly recommended. That's what I'm going to say about Neve. Also, yeah, do kind of feel like she got a little bit robbed. I thought she was really intense in Scream, and I'm not even the biggest Scream fan or anything. That's not even really my genre, preferred genre, but got to give props where props are due. I've heard some other stuff about her. Her mom was Dutch and a yoga instructor and a psychologist. Interesting. Wait, from Amsterdam. Okay, and her father's Scottish. So that's interesting. She's had a long career. I've never seen Party of Five. I don't know which one it was, but I remember hearing once that I have no idea. I could have researched this, but you can research it too if you care about Neve Campbell. There was one movie that she was in where she plays a ballerina, and she actually took ballet lessons and like got pretty good at ballet, which is harder to do later in life. She's just a real dedicated actress, and I actually find her interesting. Also, I don't know which one it is, but I have also heard, I'm just giving you little tidbits here that I cannot research or verify or substantiate in any way, but I also heard in one of the movies, I think it's a more recent movie, she makes out with some other hot chick, and she was like, I have no issue kissing a woman. It felt totally natural to me. So go Neve. I'm down with that. Anything interesting about her personal life here? Yeah, children, marriages, usual kind of stuff. Longer IMBD than the others. And then we have Fairuza Balk. Fairuza Balk is interesting in the sense that, according to, and I get into this a little bit more in the next section, but she was already a practicing Wiccan, or became a practicing Wiccan during the filming of this, or upped her Wiccan game. I'm not exactly sure. There's some talk about her having owned an occult shop, whether it happened before the filming or after, I don't know. I talk about it in the next segment, but she had probably the most interesting life, I think. And she has been in gas, food, and lodging. Lodging is not how you say lodging, which is what I was trying to say. Things to do in Denver when you're dead. Okay, so yeah, I forget about some of these because they weren't like movies that made a huge impact on me. I'm umming a lot, and I apologize for that. Her early life fascinates me, though. She was born in Point Reyes. I don't know how you say that one, into California anyway, to her musician father. Her mother was a belly dancer, which is pretty cool. And the name Fairuza is of Persian origin, meaning turquoise, because of the color of her eyes. And her eyes are fantastic. They are really turquoise. You can see quite clearly in several scenes in the movie. Her father was one of the founding members of a 1960s psychedelic rock group, Kaleidoscope, which is just the best name for a psychedelic rock group. Nailed it. Also a traveling folk musician. He was born in Idaho, but he also lived in Turkey, where he learned Greek, Turkish, and Iraqi and Iranian music. So that is interesting. He was a pretty well-rounded fellow. I bet he did some time with Osho too. Oh, dude, he was in the Wild Country compound. I don't know, something. Anyway, and then what was the other interesting thing? Oh, Bulk is her makeup here is also, I mean, you can see it now when you look at her. If you listen to this and look at her, and you'll see it all. She is Blackfoot, Cherokee, Polish, Irish, and Romani. Although a citation is needed there, I tend to believe that. She started acting when she was 6. So I think it was she was in a bunch of stuff when she was a kid. I think it was just destined to happen. She just kind of always wanted to be an actress, it seems. Again, but even for her, the IMBD is really short. Honestly, the only one of these women who has any substantial cred on their IMBD, or on their, wiki page, wiki, is Neve Campbell, not surprisingly. Because I guess that Party of 5 thing, I guess the whole Party of 5 thing was a big deal. Not the phenomenon that I was into whenever it aired, but I don't think I've ever seen a single episode of that, and I'm fine with it. Okay, so we're going to get into this now. Again, I am doing the whole kind of what kind of magic is this anyway dissection of the film, kind of scene by scene. There was a lot more. I got into this movie, and I have to tell you another real quick anecdotal. I've almost done the craft several times when I've been hard pressed for time. and I wanted to do something I thought would be quick and dirty, basically. It turned out to be a lot more research than that, and I actually got really into researching this to verify the kind of Wiccanism, the kind of Wicca that they portray in the movie, and where it crosses over into Enochian magic. It does. It's pretty fascinating. They did have an on-site pagan or Wiccan consultant, which I talk about in the next section. But I kind of fell down the rabbit hole with this one, which I was not expecting. I really thought it was going to be a in and out kind of thing. But since I gave myself 2 weeks to do it, I'm like, okay, well, let's really take a look at it. And then watching it again and looking at all the imagery and symbology, or symbols, I guess, artifacts, kind of accoutrement used on the altars and so forth, the athame that Fairuza? Why did I just forget her name? I almost called her Faruka, which is not correct. Nancy in the movie, that she infamously brandishes this athame, which you would never do because you would never draw blood with one. But anyway, she's cuckoo at the time. So yeah, I really enjoyed researching this one and kind of dissecting it scene by scene. So again, it's an hour of that. So I'm going to shut up and let you get to that now. Yeah, it's more than just a 90s like cult classic. It turns out there's some legit witchery going on. Yeah. So I'm gonna get to it. All right, so now let's start talking about the 1996 supernatural thriller, I guess you would call it. That sounds like a good enough genre. The Craft. I'm in a little bit of a precarious setup here. I had to take a lot of notes because here's the thing about The Craft. I like I mentioned, I was just going to do it for one of those times when I kind of didn't know what else to do, but then I really watched it again and there's kind of a lot more going on. And so it stands to reason. I mean, there is a reason why it has earned a status of like a cult classic, or at least it has a cult following. I don't know what a following is. I have to tell you that tons of research has been done about, I'm going to get to all of this. People have really gotten into the fucking craft and like really analyzing it and the magic. And in fact, I'll tell you this, somebody even put together this craft wiki. It's a wiki like fan page. And they must have just sat and recorded them because they're not real rituals. Although some of them are based a little bit in Wiccan practice, which we're going to talk about. But they actually wrote down all of the rituals that they do in the movie, specifically how they're done, which candles they've used. Are they drinking blood? Sometimes they are. And that's always exciting. So yeah, they go through all of the incantations and invocations and all of that stuff. And boy, you don't want to read the comments on that page. I'm going to save you from that. But yeah, actually, The Craft did a lot of things right. So technically, I'm going to do something a little bit different here. Instead of talking about the film and then respectively, like separately talking about the magic, I am just going to kind of dissect it as we go because there's a lot of imagery in here. And I'm going to tell you, as cheesy kind of sexy vixen, like high school, not at all. I mean, one of them is 30 years old, so they're really not that young, but in real life. But yeah, as far as like high school saucy vixens go, this movie could have been a lot cheesier. It could have really derailed with the magic had they not done their research. But they did. They still conflate a couple of things, and it's imperfect, but it's pretty fucking good as far as Hollywood goes. They did some things right. Another thing that makes the movie really good is honestly rewatching it. I had kind of an aversion to Fairuza Balk the first time because she reminded me. I mean, I dated her so many times. I dated this character so many times in the 90s. I almost have fucking PTSD from it. So I was impressed with her then, but not really. Like everyone was flipping crazy about her. But I've got to say, she does a fucking amazing job. She's really good. She's the if the movie were in less capable hands, and it could have been in very different hands. In fact, let's talk about that right now. Um, Fairuza Balk did win Best Supporting Actress, which is pretty amazing because I like the horror genre doesn't usually take that. Let's talk about Neve Campbell in Scream. Totally freaking Oscar. I just said freaking. I never say that. I don't know what just happened. Well, yeah, what's going on? I need more alcohol. Wait, pass the bowl. Um, Neve Campbell in Scream. That was an absolutely Oscar-worthy performance. She got nothing. But that's just an aside. Anyway, so this is the movie here. Well, I'm going to tell you the plot. Let me just give you the lowdown. It does star 4 people. Fairuza Balk. I've already talked about all 4 of these actresses, so I'm not going to go into much more detail. I am just going to direct you here to this section so you can read the details for yourself because, yeah, I don't need to talk about them again. And I don't need to talk about the plot. What I do need to talk about is Angelina Jolie and Alicia, I'm right here, y'all. 85 other actresses screen tested for these 4 main roles. So it's kind of amazing that it ended up the way that it did. I mean, Angelina Jolie probably also at 96. So like, I don't know exactly what year Girl Interrupted, but around that time, Gia, Girl Interrupted, that Angelina Jolie could have rocked the role of Nancy. But anyway, it went to Fairuza Balk, and I'm okay with that. I'm not mad about it because she really did a great job. But what I really wanted to talk about when I was saying they did things right, excuse me, they actually hired, and I don't know where it is in here, but they hired a consultant. So where things get interesting, they hired this woman, Pat Devon, and you can read her credentials here. I read this interview with her, and she is a legit Wiccan. Like, she's a witch for real and knows her shit. And so she really tried hard to keep things as honest as possible without putting anyone in jeopardy, right? She didn't want, like she says a couple of different times, she didn't want a bunch of teenage girls out on the beach trying to invoke different dangerous things that actually exist. So while the practice is a lot of the rituals, the calling of the drawing of the the drawing of the corners. Sorry. I am having a terrible allergy attack. I don't know what to tell y'all other than DC is fucking trying to kill me. Yeah, so well, let me get into this. She gave it a very Wiccan foundation. When you look at things like we're going to talk about some of the spells and rituals, we're going to talk about the altar and a lot of the things she used. We're going to talk about casting a magic circle, and then it gets into watchtower magic. You'll notice there's a distinct turning point here, which is going to take us down one of my favorite paths. This gets into Enochian magic, which I will be doing extensively in its entirety somehow. Maybe with Kate Blanchett and Queen Elizabeth. That would be kind of perfect. Thinking ahead, if you're with me on that, because the reason why I'm saying this is because John Dee and Edward Kelly. John Dee was in Elizabeth, the first employee as an astrologer, so forth, other things. But we're going to get there. But what I really want to talk about is this woman here. She really did incorporate a lot of things that I liked, like the law of threefold return, about practicing magic coming back at you. She's definitely knowledgeable. Oh, magic, anything you practice comes back to you in 3. I've mentioned this a few times in the show, but if this is for some reason the only episode you're watching, then yeah, you might not have heard me say that before. So let's get started. I'm going to do a play-by-play now with this in mind, that they did hire this person. And well, let me just tell you a couple things about this. I was looking, before we really get into the play-by-play, since we're here now, the whole thing about this, the technical advisor, Pat, here it says Fairuza Balk is a Wiccan in real life and eventually purchased the pagan store she frequented to do research in. This one here, when you click on it, unfortunately, the link is dead. It doesn't look like she ever actually ran it, just that she owned it. But I think it might be this show. This store that is still, where is it? In California, some fucking where. So I can't verify that, but she did have the store for a while. Anyway, some sources say that it's Santa Monica. This is where this is located. Some sources say that she was a pagan before, or a Wiccan before, practicing Wiccan prior to this, and that she owned an occult shop prior to taking this role in the craft. And then other sources, and this woman herself says, well, she doesn't say who, but she says that one of the stars at the end wanted to be kind of put on the path of the goddess, and they like went out and did a ritual and made that happen. Here it is. On the last day of shooting at the beach, one of the actresses asked me to dedicate her to the path of the goddess. We walked up the beach in the dark, away from the lights, to a cove where I dedicated her and presented her to all 4 quarters. For her name, she took an answer my voice. For her name, she took a name that I told her I would have named my daughter had I ever had one. That's got to be Fairuza Balk, unless there was a second witch initiated from the cast. Anyway, who knows? I do love that. I just want to say Alaska Thunderfuck, Honey Mahogany, and Sharon Needles and Peaches Christ did this version of the craft. And their tagline was, now is the time, this is the hour, drag is our magic, drag is our power. That's so great. But yeah, lots of fun facts. I mean, honestly, the craft has been dissected way more than I expected. I knew that it had a cult following. I knew it was one that y'all loved, but I just really didn't realize that it had been this deeply researched. Anyway, I do also like that Neve Campbell and Rachel True became best friends during filming, and they're still friends to this day. That's very cute. All right, now through the lens of the fact that they did have a consultant who was a legit Wiccan, I'm going to start talking about the actual movie play-by-play. So bear with me. I've got to get my phone here. So I took extensive notes. So the whole movie opens on like, you know, she's literally in an airplane. Like, okay, are you the new girl? Much. You're obviously, we get it. You're relocating. She's looking sad and morose and very teenage and the whole thing. And then it's like, you know, all the music in it is all very, I think we've got it here. It's all bands that you've kind of heard of before, but not really, like Our Lady Peace. I mean, definitely like Jewel and Elastica, but some of these I'm like, Juliana Hatfield, I think I know. I don't know. It's very like watered down grunge, late 90s kind of like, but also I will say there is a Susie song and there is a Connie Francis and a Portishead song in there that don't make it to the soundtrack due to like different kinds of you know, copyright issues, so forth. So it's just, the whole thing is very 90s to me, the whole look of it. I don't know, let's find a good picture of her. I actually found in my notes at some point, the lip liner and the eyeliner, but especially the lip liner is such a very 90s thing. But anyways, they're on a plane, they're getting there. She gets to school. And well, actually before she even gets to school, so the very first scene that we see the other 3 girls and they're performing a ritual. It's totally unclear. And I just want to say all of the right elements are there. So they've got like the sage and the crystal balls. I don't personally ever use a crystal ball, but cheers, props to people who do. I think it's kind of cool, but it's also a little bit, on the mark. But yeah, they've got the sage and the candles and there's like perfume bottles. And I'm like, is that the pentacle or a pentagram? I can't tell with the orientation if it's supposed to be Wiccan pentacle or satanic pentagram. But it's just this like kind of frenzied free for all. It's totally chaotic. There are hands reaching everywhere. Like, I don't know, herbs are being put into the fire and things are being exchanged and incense are being lit. And it just, you would never see, I have never seen a practice so frenzied with so many people, actively like moving stuff around and manipulating things on the altar. Anyway, so they do. So they are talking about, this is where this is one of the very first scenes. This is what they're chanting. Now is the time. Now is the hour. Now is the time. Now is the hour. Ours is the magic. Ours is the power. And they are talking about, at some point in there, they mention the elements. Like, they get the elements. And what I mean by that, north, south, east, and west, or let's just go there now. We call the elements, and I think I just accidentally shut out a page, which I didn't want to do. But so when witches practice, usually we light candles in different, to represent the four elements. And not all people use candles, but most people do. Hold on. I did shut down a page, but I didn't mean to. But anyway, I can just tell you that we, we tend to, and this is all both. Okay, sorry, a little glitch there. Everything started falling and crashing, and I was having an allergy attack. It was pretty apocalyptic. Anyway, that gave me a chance to get my shiz together and recover my lost tabs. I was saying, hooey, Wiccans, pagans, most people who practice magic, really even some Satanists or Luciferians do it. As you're casting a circle, you call the quarters. And really what that means is you're honoring the elements, and you're doing it in a way also so that the quarters, so again, it should look like, imagine a circle with a cross in the middle, right? So that the north, south, west, and east are all represented, and it also helps to seal and protect the circle. And it turns out each of the women in the movie has a specific element that they're associated with. Turns out that Nancy, or Fairuza Balk, is the east, which is usually associated with like, it's the element of air. But, did I just go right by it? But it also has to do with intuition, the breath of life, lots of other things here. I'm really keep hitting the microphone and fucking things up. Sorry about that, y'all. Yeah, mostly about communication, intelligence. Mercury, the messenger god. Hermes, air, goes with air. I mean, Mercury is not air, but he travels through the air for communication. See also Gemini. And then it turns out that the next one, who's the next one in this one? Bonnie. So Bonnie is Neve Campbell, the one with the really bad burn. And it turns out she's the south position. And the south position is associated with the element fire. Fire is the first element that was born in the universe. And so it's transformated. It's associated to so many things regarding transformation. You see a lot of imagery like the phoenix from the frame. Wow, I'm doing real good with English tonight, y'all. You see the phoenix from the flame kind of imagery a lot, purifying powers, enabling life. It can burn and destroy, or it can burn to regenerate, like burning the fields for better crops. But yeah, and then it turns out Sarah, so the main kind of character, the newbie there, is the actually Rochelle goes next. Rochelle is the African American. She's really gorgeous. Water, she is water intuition, also symbolic of dreaming. It can be also associated with cleansing, purification, things like that. Fertility, there. Fertility is also associated with the earth, which is Sarah. That's her node, Sarah, the newbie. It's associated with stability, orderliness, being grounded, sustenance, stuff like that, nourishment. So they get all of this right. They actually do all of this correctly. And I'm guessing, again, thanks to Miss Pat Devon, who was their spiritual advisor, consultant on the set for the craft. So in the very beginning, that very first bit of magic that they're doing, they're, with the altar, and I said it was like a feeding frenzy. It's just a bunch of sharks going at it. They did have a lot of the right elements, and I noticed this pretty consistently. While the colored candles might not always be correct, I did notice that like if you look just right here, common items on a Wiccan altar include athame, broom. I don't know if I saw a broom, but pretty much everything else. Candles, a small cauldron, chalice, or maybe not a cauldron, but like a small incense burner kind of cauldron, chalices, incense, pentacles. I believe there's a wand. Definitely there's an athame though. So, and then I remember seeing stuff like gems, and I don't know if they use water, but they use wine at least. All kinds of different stuff there. They pretty much have the full array of possible altar items in pretty much every scene when they're performing magic. So that's encouraging. And then we're going to talk about this. So the next part of the movie, then she does go to school. They man, I'm telling you, I'm talking about Sarah. The newbie goes to school the next day, and Neve Campbell is like totally enthralled with her. You can't change my mind on this. The way Neve is watching her like effortlessly balance a pencil on its point, and the way she's looking at her girl, she's all intrigued. And she comes up, she walks by, and they totally shun her, or rather, Nancy Fairuza does. Sarah comes up to them in the lunchroom. She's like, "Can I sit with you guys?" And they just kind of give her the cold shoulder. Then they do this really weird thing where the next day they walk up to her, and Rochelle, this one, whoops, I'm pointing, but you can't see this one. Rochelle is saying, "Hey, Nancy's really sorry for the way she treated you yesterday." With Nancy's standing right fucking there, dude. So we get this this is where we first get the impression that Nancy's kind of a, badass and whatever. They kind of drag her out. They drag her off on a five-finger discount, whatever shopping spree. And on the way there, they happen to see her scars. There's this whole thing with her having tried to commit suicide. Neve Campbell, again, hot for this chick's scars. Like, you even did them the right way. Because she goes uptown, right? She goes down the road and not across the street. And so, and then, it gives Fairuza Balk the opportunity to state one of her iconic lines, which is like, "Punk rock, let's go." And so they go into the occult shop there. The fact that they're going to try to steal from this occult shop, to me, is just really fucking bad juju. Neve Campbell's trying to get her to steal a book, and she's saying, well, hold on, let me see. It's and the occult shop too, they walk in and the lady seems to be like blessing a candle. There's all manner. It's like just a potpourri of different possible witchy items of herbs and candles galore and everything you can imagine. And she's like, "Here, put this in your bag." And it's this leather book with a triangle on it. I can't really forget the orientation. It might actually be Earth, because the triangle Earth, I wonder, because that would make so much fucking sense, because she's supposed to be the Earth node or the North node. So yeah, anyway, I didn't notice, but that could be, they might have been given that much attention to detail. Who knows? But anyway, she's like, "I'm not going to steal this. No, dude, that's not cool." She's like all enchanted. Sarah's like, "I'm not going to steal the book." She starts walking to the back of the room. There's this mysterious curtain. It has like an eye on it. Kind of looks like the e pluribus unum kind of eye thing on the dollar of the, like, you know what I'm saying? That she's like gonna go back through this curtain, and the occult shop owner comes, like, just fucking swoops out of nowhere. She's like, that's not for you. Okay. She does buy the book. She gets some candles, she gets some other stuff. The lady says, maybe you're a natural witch. So they're already putting that idea out there that she's a natural witch. And in fact, it turns out her mother was too. Anyway, suddenly then they're in like downtown LA, shit's getting cray. And then all these random people are popping up, and then there's Snake Guy again. Oh, I forgot to mention this in the very beginning of the movie. When she goes into the house, some guy randomly comes into the house, and he's like, my microphone is falling. That's not what he says. He's all like, I got something for you. It's so dirty and lewd, and he's got the snake, and he's kind of kooky. The father comes in and chases him away. Anyway, out of the blue, downtown LA, suddenly this fucker's here again, like waving his snake around menacingly. Is that supposed to be like code for something else? Probably something pretty obvious. But anyway, he's like scaring them, and the girls all, I guess, collectively wish something will happen to him to stop him, and he gets like fucking hit and drug under the tires of a bus or car or something, and they're like, shit. And then they run off. They run into the, like, not really the woods, but into the trees, I guess, by the main drag. And they're like, we fucking did that. We did that. We have the power. We made that happen, man. We thought about it and it happened. We can do this. Like, all right, we've got the power. And then I think here, this is the first mention of Manok. They're like, maybe he'll listen to us now. And they're like, what's Manok? Or Sarah's like, what's Manok? And then they get into this, I don't know if they do it now. They get into this kind of discussion about what Manok is. Okay, so this is a part of the story that was intentionally invented, again, so that nobody would be conjuring or invoking a deity, maybe with, not enough knowledge or nefarious purpose. You never know what's conjuring, invoking, girl, it could get dangerous. But anyway, they decide that they're going to do this. I don't even see it here, but they settle on Manok, and Manok is, they have it here definitely in there. Well, it is that, did I close the page with all the, I lost the page with all the spells, but anyway, I'll get it back. I'll pause and get it back in a second. But basically they base their god on Manok, on Mananan MacLair here, with a good old Scottish accent that I can't do. He's a sea god, basically the equivalent of like Poseidon. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail. He's associated specifically with the Isle of Man. He's the warrior and the king of the other world, which has come up before if you saw the Stevie Nicks episode. The other world is kind of where, like Summerland, if you're a fan of the Fields of the Nephilim, then you would know what that is. Anyway, kind of a place where the elders go, and you go in between being reincarnated. Dreamland, beautiful place, all is good. Anyway, yeah, so they do really loosely, and I think they basically used it for the imagery. Now, keep in mind, they really should have made Fairuza Balk or Nancy's character West, water, because that would have made more sense, because he's a water god. But whatever, they tried. She's air, she conjures him. There's a lot of stuff with imagery in the water, and at one point, after she conjures him, she's able to walk on water. It's very Christ-like. It's very whatever. So, and then all these dead animals appear on the shore, and she's like, it's an offering. He was inside of me. She just starts losing it right away. The second he enters her, she pretty much loses control. This is getting so dirty. There's just so much like that, just right under the surface, kind of like implied sexual, like everything is very sexualized. It's, I mean, again, it's you know, from the beginning, the fetish of the Catholic schoolgirl skirt or uniform. It's just all the sexuality is just, it's taught with it, taught. Okay, so where am I in the whole freaking thing? Hold on. Oh shit, things got out of control again. But here, I found this page because you were dying without it with all the spells on it. Anyway, but before she even invokes and embodies and takes Manak into her body, it's a build up to that. There's this whole description of him where she gives where like Sarah's asking, well, what is that? Is it a god? And Neve Campbell's character actually says, no, man invented God. This is way older than that, which I thought was a really cool thing to say. And she's like, it's like the God and the devil. It's everything. It's the grass, the trees, the moon. Like if God and the devil, if God and the devil, wait, what did they say? If God and the devil were on this at the stadium, or if God and the devil were playing football, I think they say Mena would be the stadium and the sun that shone down on them. So it's this very panentheistic, like kind of pervasive idea that God is everything and everything is God, or Manok, who's both God and the devil, which is echoed later. The occult lady does say something about there's no black magic or white magic, which we don't really say black magic anymore. It's sometimes called dark magic, usually referred to as the left hand path. The right hand path does no harm. The left hand path gets into shit that they start doing when they start putting spells on people. So that's where the, threefold rule comes back to bite them in the ass. But anyway, so she leaves and Nancy does her first. Like, this is the first time that Nancy's really like, oh, she's scared with like the big mouth and the big eyes. And you kind of see for the first time how really her potential for evil is there in Nancy. Anyway, stuff goes on. There's some upsetting things like this guy Chris is a real douchebag. He's At some point she meets him and he like tells everybody she was a lazy lay, and she's like, I didn't sleep with him. He's just a real douche. And then the Rochelle character, and Neve Campbell's character, she's got these horrible scars, so she's got her own cross to bear. Fairuza Balk, I guess the scars are from a car accident. I had to read that. I did not catch it in the movie, and I've seen the movie a few times. Anyway, Fairuza Balk's character is very like lives in their trailer trash. Her mom's an alcoholic. Both mom and stepdad are abusive. She just wants out of there. And Rochelle's thing is like, these are not just microaggressions. She's like suffering some really overt racism. Like, I was kind of shocked at just, it's just really, she goes through, there are these girls on the swim team that are giving her a hard time. And one of them is like, hey, is there a pubic hair in my brush? Oh no, it's just one of Rochelle's nappy little hairs. And I think she calls it nappy little hairs, likening it to a pubic hair. Rochelle's like, dude, if you got a problem with me, tell me. She's like, oh, I do. I just don't like nigroids. I was like, holy shit. I know it was 96, wasn't that long ago, y'all. Anyway, yeah, so stuff goes on. They have slumber parties, they keep practicing magic, but then they decide that they want to do a ritual. And probably I could be sorry, I have not been paying any attention to the visuals here because I was looking at my phone. They do all of these. They do revenge. She wants to get revenge on the racists. This other one wants the douchey guy to fall in love with her, although who fucking knows why. Bonnie, Neve Campbell, wants a beauty spell because she wants her scars to go away. And fucking Fairuza Balk just wants power, like, basically is what she says. So let's go back over here. So they that's something better to look at, maybe. So, and I just want to point out that this is a revised, so this is actually the pentacle. Now, this is 5 elements here. So it changes the position of the nodes, right? Because you're adding spirit to the top. All right. Anyway, sorry. We're just going to look at that for a minute while I tell you. I got distracted. I was thinking. Let me think. Yeah, so stuff keeps going on. All their spells start working. The blonde bitch, racist bitch, who's giving Rochelle a hard time, her hair starts falling out. Chris is like obsessed with her. He can't eat or he can't sleep. He is with this Sarah character. He's following her around all lovelorn, and it's humiliating. But nothing is really, and finally, at some point, Neve Campbell's scars totally go away, although not before she undergoes some incredibly painful, actually it really just looks like she's getting a tattoo, but it looks like she's getting a tattoo into thick scar tissue, some kind of therapy to try to get rid of the scars. And I just want to say, the female doctor giving her that treatment can treat me for anything, anytime. She is super fine. I don't know who she is, but dang. Okay. Anyway, so her scars go away. She starts feeling herself. Like everything's going pretty well, but Nancy is not, nothing's really changing in her home life. So she's kind of starting to, get a little bit fucked up over it. And finally, I guess to kind of provoke things or like get them going, at some point, she does end up, what happens? I did not notate this part. At some point, the evil stepdad dies. Unbeknownst to them, he had some kind of life insurance policy. They are bequeathed all of his, riches or whatever. I don't know. It's like $180,000, I think, if I remember correctly, which in the 90s was a shit ton of money. They buy a place, they buy a car, stuff is popping for her too. But I guess to push things a little bit further, she does something really weird where she decides that she is going to get revenge. This is a nice athame here. Asame. And she goes to this party and she does the glamour spell so that Chris thinks that she's Sarah, and she has sex with him. And I'm like, what weird ass kind of revenge is this? So why would she want to fuck that guy? And then she really loses it. Like Sarah comes in, catches him in the act. He's like, what the fuck? Yeah. He's all like, I don't understand, but you're here and I'm also inside you and you're over there by the door too. Anyway, Nancy goes into one of the really like, he's so pathetic and like really goes crazy. I mean, this is where the character just at this point, she's so good. And I kind of would liken her a little bit. Her performance is amazing. And I would liken it a little bit to Brandon, not very smart, Brandon Lee in The First Crow, who I really think Heath Ledger based his Joker on. There's just a dark, seductive with the big mouth and the bright eyes, and she just really plays. It's like she loses it a few times where she's just screaming and thrashing, and it's real convincing. And again, the PTSD. The PTSD. But all the shit happens after they kill dude Jason. Sarah's like, dude, I want to get out of here. And then the real fun starts because for Zuka, Nancy, in the movie, decides that she's not going to leave the cult and they're going to torment her, but she's not going to be leaving their cult that soon or that easily. So like, she's like, in the old days, if a witch betrayed her coven, they would kill her. So they start tormenting her. They fly in her window at night, all like Lost Boys style, just getting all kooky with her, like making her see things. She's hallucinating. They fuck with her at one point, convince her that her dad's been in a plane wreck. I mean, it just gets really brutal. There's a other scene with like the snakes and the rats and the spiders. She's just hallucinating snakes and rats and spiders everywhere. And then Nancy's like, comes in and she's like, oops, okay, enough of that. Like, reminding her that she can make it all stop. And that she's just fucking with her and fucking with her and fucking with her until like fucking Sarah's going crazy. Every shot of her after this, she's like biting her nails and she's like hiding and shaking in the bathroom, trying to avoid them. There's no escape. They keep finding her. They keep torturing her. Finally, she goes, I stopped my notes too soon. Finally, she goes back to the occult lady. The occult lady's like, hey, listen, here's the deal. You opened up this can of worms. There's no stopping it. Like, really, all we can do right now is, well, you're gonna have to invoke the spirit. Basically, we're gonna have to draw the quarters. And sorry, my allergies are killing me. And you're gonna have to invoke Monarch, and that's really the only thing you can do. You got to fight fire with fire. You cannot just let it. It's just, she's otherwise, anyway, the only way to win this battle, but you can win this battle if you do it right as they start the invocation. Nancy comes back. There's a battle. It's just, at this point, they're just witchcrafting the fuck out of it. It's like kung fu fighting with witchcraft. They're flying around. It's crazy. And at some point, of course, when the natural witch, Sarah, decides to really use her powers, she wins this battle of the witches, driving Fairuza Balk's character crazy. She's convinced she's covered in spiders and such, and she ends up in the asylum, as it turns out, tied to a bed. He was inside of me. It was Jesus. The whole thing is pretty disturbing, actually. So that's what happened. So it's interesting because if you just look at it right there, it follows. So like I said, it follows the basic pagan framework, or Wiccan rather, until we get to the certain point. When we get to this point here, where's the motherfucker? When they get to this point, when she gets to the point where I said where she fully, I'm talking about Nancy, the Nancy character, when Nancy decides she's fully like, come into me, Monarch, which is probably exactly how she says it. And they do this ritual, the invocation of the spirit calling the corners. It should be quarters, I think. Anyway, they say it should be quarters, but so this is when they go out. This is one of the most moody scenes in the movie where they're walking out. It's very 90s, and it actually does kind of remind me of The Crow or something, now that I'm thinking about it, which I think was made in like 94. So it could have been influenced by it. But anyway, they're like, one of them is carrying a snake. Oh, I did have this part written down. One of them has a snake, one has a bird, one has butterflies, and one has goldfish, or clownfish or something. Some of my friends who know fish are going to be like, that's not a goldfish. I'm like, I don't know. It's a fucking fish, an orange and white fish. Okay. I don't fucking know fish. But that when they do this real invocation ritual, this is what gives her the power to like fly around and go crazy. And it leads up to the whole like War of the Witches battle royale at the end. They do this whole, and I know that this lady wrote this, wherever it was. Where was I? We pray of thee, we invoke thee, O serpent one, hear our calls, hear our prayers, ancient wise one, teach us thy ways. We summon and stir thee, lend us your power, show us your glory, we invoke thee, we invoke thee, we invoke thee. Oh, there is a point there too where Sarah does try to perform a binding ritual on Nancy, but it doesn't work. It just pisses her off more. I guess that's also another real... It's an actual ritual that actual Wiccans do or can do. Anyway, not to speak for all Wiccans everywhere, but so when she does this invocation thing, this is when shit gets really intense. Now, here's where when they start this one, you'll notice it starts here with Hail to the Guardians of the Watchtowers of the East. That is different. That is not regular Wiccan magic circle casting. Okay, we're gonna draw the quarters. We're gonna there might be angelic or divine names, grimoires. Yes, it's the that we'll have candles representing the quarters. The elements of the air, fire, water, and earth will all be there. for sure there will be an athame to open and close the circle, all of these things. You might even hear the fall upon my blade, or I'd rather fall. It is this one that they actually also get right in the beginning for the coven ritual, where it says, "It is better that you should rush upon this blade than enter the circle with fear in your heart. How do you enter? With perfect love and perfect trust." All of that could be Wiccan. But here's what's not. The Watchtower. Watchtower magic is specifically from the Order of the Golden Dawn. Now, while many things are derived from the Order of the Golden Dawn in ceremonial, like I'm talking about neo-pagan magic, it is not strictly Wiccan. This is where we get into the Enochian tradition. And this is where we get into, also, I mean, there are many paths here. We can also go into Hermeticism and go full Crowley with this. We can go full Gerald Gardner to neo-paganism or Wiccan, all of these things. But the one that comes to me when I hear the Watchtowers, the Guardians of the Watchtower summoned, I go straight to Enochian magic in my mind. Enochian magic was brought to public attention by John Dee and his scryer Edward Kelly. They worked together. They work very complex evocational. And now notice here we're talking about evocation too, not invocation. According to Dee's diaries, sometimes referred to I think it's a misnomer. Maybe it was a translation thing, but sometimes referred to as the angelic conversations, which if you're a fan of Coil, the album, The Angelic Conversations, those are all entries from John Dee's journal read by the famous, the amazing Judi Dench. Just saying. If you have not ever heard that, you probably need to hear that. Anyway, the two men summoned an angel, which Kelly said he saw in this obsidian mirror. And so Dee recorded the revelations, which Kelly narrated to him. And why does this matter? What, like, you might seem like kind of a deadline, except getting into the next part of it. I'm going to go straight to Enochian magic. Sorry. And if you're wondering, so what they're saying is the Enochian language was delivered them directly from angels. And what they're saying about this language is that it is the purest. Other languages like Hebrew and Amharic debased the pure language of angels. But this Enochian language that was revealed to them was the undiluted, unfiltered language of angels. And so thus closer to God. And you'll see, or got them closer to God. And you'll see that they, in the Christian influence of, the Watchtower, the Order of the Golden Dawn, you'll see also in Christian influenced magical traditions, they are understood to be the archangels, Uriel, Raphael, Michael, and Gabriel. So again, we see sometimes when you see that cross-pollination, you see in the occult shop in this movie too, for example, you'll see a big mosaic of the Mother Mary. Sometimes these iconic or these Christian images, we know that Christianity bastardized all of the earth worshiping goddess, mostly goddess worshiping or pantheon, religions. Christianity came in and bastardized it. It was Christianity is an amalgamate of all of the pre-Christian earth goddess pantheon religions that predated it. At any rate, and when I mean pantheon religions, I mean like Hinduism, where they worshipped a pantheon. What's the other word for that? Polytheistic, I know. But that's not the word I'm looking for. At any rate, here we have Enochian magic Um, so why this matters, Kelly believed that their visions gave them access to secrets contained within the book of Enoch, which is interesting because while Christian, we have to remember this is an apocryphal book, meaning it was not canonized. It did not get accepted into the canon of the shiny, perfect Bible that you know and love today. There are a lot of apocryphal books that really question the nature of God and man's relationship to God. Enoch, in particular, when you read it, advocates for a much more Gnostic relationship to God. No church, no Christ, no middleman. You and God, you get down with your own self. You get down with your own God in your own way, right? He hears you. You don't need a fucking priest. You don't need to fucking make reparations. Not reparations. What are they called? Definitely not reparations. You don't need to make atonements, or what are the things? Indulgences. They would sell indulgences, pre-sell indulgences, so that, you know, if you sinned a little bit, you could be like, I got a 10 lira worth of indulgences here. Yes, I raped my neighbor and I fucked 10 cows. What will the 10 lira get me? You're absolved. Maybe buy another. You want to buy another round of indulgences just in case. You sure like raping and cow fucking. I'm just telling you, this is going to work. Anyway, got off on that tangent. But the whole thing about the Enochian system of magic is really, well, it was just kind of the work of two men. It also, the account of the angelic communications is taken at face value by most Enochian occultists. So they've even pointed out other remarkable similarities to earlier grimoire texts, such as the and I don't know how to pronounce this one, Heptameron, and other things that I'm not going to try to pronounce. So in other words, there was validity, there were similarities to other magical texts that were already known to people. So I don't know, does that give it more credence? They thought so. So yes, I am fascinated with this, but this is the thing that I'm trying to really impress upon you here, is that Wiccan magic should be right hand path. It should be good or white magic. They're definitely crossing a line here into the left hand path with the invocation and the complete. Like, they're totally ignoring the threefold rule, right? Totally just fucking bullocks to that. They don't give a fuck anymore. And they're drunk with power. It's all about retribution and material gain and control. And that's not so, that's a little more left-hand path. So is Watchtower magic or Enochian magic left-hand path? Well, not specifically either, because remember, they believed they were talking to angels, or that angels were talking to them, and they were reconstructing this very pure language that was untainted by real human language. So how the fact that they diverged strictly from Wiccan practice, they kind of had to get to the dark side, but they don't totally cross over to the dark side as correctly as they could have either. To be honest, it's a lot more, yeah, I think, sorry, I got a little distracted there. If we look at it, it is still very elemental. And so, but I don't see it as being totally left-hand path either. So yeah, there's a little, this is where the waters are a little muddied, and it does from this point on. I mean, the movie goes pretty fucking crazy once she gets this Manananan Maklir. He's sorry, wait, and a deadly strength. Wait. So he can cover water as well as land, and a deadly strength sapping sword named Fraggle Rock. It's Fraggle Rock. Yeah. Once she gets this watery bitch all up in her, she does go crazy. Things do go a little bit, well, they go way off the deep end. They're trying to fucking kill their coven member who wants to defect, and fucking Nancy ends up in a asylum. So it's a pretty decent, asking oneself, what kind of magic is this anyway, as we do. I would say, generally speaking, pretty well researched Wiccan practice, but not like in practice, it checks out with the drawing of the quarters, the circle casting, all of the altar paraphernalia. But the purpose of it seems a lot darker, and the whole branch off into Watchtower Enochian magic is, I'm not sure if it's random or what point they were trying to make there, or if it just got a little muddied the way things tend to do when people try to get a little too creative. I think they were trying to bridge a couple gaps there, and they did a fairly good job. Anyway, I'm just going to go ahead and say fairly good job. I will say, apparently for a while, sadly, there was there was a link for a while here, I guess, when she owned the store. Am I on the right one? Yes, you can buy custom made candles and scents like Wisdom Keeper from Fairuza's website. But when you click on it here, yeah, I got that twice. It looks like she did have this very low-tech blog for a while back in the early 2000s, and it just kind of fizzled out. None of the links are active. Whichever store she owned, I can't be too certain. Yes, but I wanted to get more. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to save the tie-in between the Hermetic Order and Enochian magic for the next portion of this. Not portion of this. The thelema and everything for the next. I'm getting to all this stuff. I know I keep kind of dancing around it. At some point there will be a more extensive tie-in. I don't know when, but this is coming. Like I said, I can use, I think Queen Elizabeth might be a good launching point for this. We could talk about Kate Blanchett for a while, and then I could do a harder dive on this. But for right now, yeah, that's pretty much it for the whole world of the craft. They adopted a god, Manok, derived loosely from this Isle of Man god, ocean god. They used pretty good, pretty well-researched Wiccan background for the more generic aspects of it. Even got into some Enochian magic, twisted it about a little bit so that it was a little more left-hand path facing, but bada boom, bada bing, there you go. You got the craft. How does that sound? Pretty fucking good. I feel like my microphone stopped working well. I have to upgrade again and get a real mic. I'm just here to say you've been down with me, Anarchy. I hope you enjoyed the craft and my analysis of what kind of magic is this anyway, landing on pretty solid Wiccan, or pretty well-researched solid Wiccan ground anyway, until it's not, until it crosses over. But anyway, I've had fun. Please join me again next week or the week after sometime soon. I'll let you know, but I'll be back. I promise you that. And until then, please stay witchy. All right, y'all.